Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. This one is my first draft for the 2025-26 season for FPL. The game has now launched, we can get excited about it, but before we get into my draft, I want to let you know about Fantasy Football Hub. You've probably heard of them. If you haven't though, then you can sign up for a risk-free investment basically. You basically sign up, if you win your mini league, then brilliant. If you don't win your mini league, then you get your money back. It's pretty simple. It's a risk-free thing. There are T's and C's that apply. Use the link in the description to this video to sign up to be able to get that offer. But yeah, they're running it for pre-season, so it's as simple as you sign up, you don't win your mini league, you get your money back. Easy as that. And there's all sorts of good stuff on there. I mean, they'll have team rating tools as well. Where you can put your draft in and it will give you a rating out of 100%. That isn't quite ready yet, but because of all these new changes to the game, it will be ready very shortly. There's all sorts of stats on there which will be pretty important now that we've got all these defensive contributions. So there'll be defensive stats that you can look at, all sorts of good stuff on there. But yeah, use the link in the description. For now, let's get into my first draft. Okay, so we're starting off with goalkeepers, and if you've watched any of my videos before, last season or the season before, if you watched any of my videos, you'll know that I don't like spending money on the goalkeeper position. I think it's too much of a kind of gamble as such. Like the last two seasons, we've seen that Pickford has been the top scoring goalkeeper. He's obviously got a kind of price increase now to 5.5 million, but back then he wasn't one of the most expensive goalkeepers. Buying Alisson won't necessarily get you the most points because save points are huge for goalkeepers. So getting clean sheets alone isn't going to get you the most points. Meaning that one of the 4.5 or even maybe 5 million goalkeepers will do very, very well. Granted, we won't know which one particularly, but I like Kelleher. Obviously, he's still got the Liverpool kit there, but he's now moved to Brentford because Brentford sold their goalkeeper to buy Leverkusen, and now they've bought Kelleher. So I do think Kelleher will be first choice this season. I'm not really backing Brentford defence by making this pick. Basically, you want a goalkeeper that's going to get some clean sheets but also pick up some save points. And I think Kelleher's a pretty good goalkeeper, and the fixtures for the first few weeks are pretty good. So Forest away, Villa at home is meh. Sunderland away, Chelsea at home, Fulham away, Man United at home. Then it's City, then it's West Ham. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but that's kind of what you want again for a goalkeeper. So the games against like City and Chelsea, he'll have a lot of shots at him, but that's kind of fine because he'll get them save points. He might not get the clean sheet, but he'll get some save points. And if they do manage to get a clean sheet out of nowhere, then he could haul massively. Another thing I don't like is a lot of people try to do rotating cheap goalkeepers. That never works for me anyway. I don't particularly get it because of what I just said. I mean, the tough fixtures are sometimes, quite often in fact, where the better goalkeepers, where the cheap goalkeepers will get their hauls. So against like a Sunderland, for example, Brentford may completely dominate that game and Kelleher might not get many saves. So his ceiling is pretty low. It's just the clean sheet points. Whereas against Man City or against Chelsea or maybe even someone like Villa, Kelleher might get a lot more shots at him, and if Brentford manage to pull off a clean sheet, then he'll get 10 plus points. So that's the difficulty with choosing two goalkeepers and rotating them. It's not always going to be the good fixtures that get the most points. So I like Kelleher. I like a few of the other 4.5 million options. Verbruggen is 4.5 million. I don't mind him. Areola also, you'll see a theme. I mean, I am a West Ham fan, but I typically don't pick many West Ham players. However, I do have a little bit of faith this season that we'll be better than we were last season. So I do like Areola. And then the 4 million goalkeeper situation on the bench, if one comes to light kind of over pre-season that might get some minutes, then I'd pick him. But for now, I've just put Bentley in there. It could be anyone. Anyway, let's get onto the defenders, which is a bit more exciting. Okay, so defenders, and you'll notice a theme here. 4 expensive defenders I've gone for. Wan-Bissaka on the bench. As I mentioned, I do think that West Ham will be kind of good this season, and Wan-Bissaka will get forward a lot, which we saw last season. People seem to have got Wan-Bissaka a bit wrong last season. They knew what he was from Palace and United, which is a great defender and a great one-on-one defender. But last season he was playing as a wing-back, and actually going forward he was very, very good. So he is a nice option to have on the bench. And in game week 1, West Ham play Sunderland. So if you wanted to either bench boost or play him, then that's a pretty good fixture. Now, I've got 4 6 million defenders here. Now, this is something that you don't have to do, of course, but I really like the idea of going big at the back this season. We've seen that these changes for like defensive contributions and some bonus points will benefit defenders, will benefit especially centre-backs, because we're talking clearances, we're talking blocks, we're talking tackles, which a lot of these players will get, but these players also play for the best defences, so they will also get some clean sheets. Quite a lot of them, like Gabriel, Van Dijk, are also massive threats in the air at corners. I just think that defenders in general will score a lot more points this season than they previously have, and I don't think the pricing for a lot of them has reflected that. We've seen that Tarkowski is a lot more expensive, of course. He's gone up to 5.5 million, I think it is. Some of the kind of centre-backs that did well in defensive contributions last season have had a price hike, but these sort of premium defenders haven't. So Gvardiol, for example, it will depend where he plays, because last season he played left-back quite a lot, which meant he could get forward a fair amount. We might not see that this season, I don't know. But again, he's quite a threat going forward from corners and things. So I like him at 6 million. He should also be probably the most nailed defender from Man City, which is kind of tough to find. Van Dijk, as I say, he was a bit of a beast in terms of the defensive contributions from last season. So I thought that he'd be priced at 6.5 million or higher, to be honest, because he's got kind of everything you want. He's got attacking threat from corners. He's got clean sheet chances, quite high clean sheet chances, because Liverpool are, well, the best team in the league, clearly. And yeah, he should get some of these defensive contribution points, and he'll be better for bonus as well. So I think he should have been more expensive than 6.5 million. Then it's the 2 Arsenal defenders. Arsenal have been one of the best defences in the league for the last couple of seasons. Gabriel is a joke from corners, an absolute joke. So I thought that he'd be 6.5 million as well. And these two are pretty nailed. We know by now that this is the 2 kind of starting options at Arsenal. So again, I thought they'd be more expensive, and the likes of Saliba and Gabriel will again be good for clearances, will be good for tackles, will be good for blocks, things like that, especially in tougher games. So like I say, I thought that these sorts of premium defenders would be priced much higher, or priced a little bit higher at least. I genuinely do think that big at the back is a valid option this season, given that we've seen price hikes for a lot of the other players. So Isak came in at 10.5 million, which is a little bit more expensive than I thought he would. Someone like Nuri was again a little bit more expensive. Pickford a little bit more expensive. I think these kind of more nailed centre-backs are definitely a place to look. But yeah, anyway, let's get on to the midfielders now. Right, onto the midfielders now, and you'll notice one pretty big omission, which is Salah. Now, Salah I do think has actually been priced really well at 14.5 million. I think that he should be the most expensive player in the game, which he is. He should have got a price hike from last season, which he did. But I do think I just don't think he's completely nailed in our teams for sure. Especially if you want to go with some of the other bigger hitters, which I think you can. So to start with, I guess Verts. He's been priced much lower than I thought he would. I thought he'd be around 10 million, kind of just under the likes of Palmer. But he's at 8.5, which I think is a very, very nice price. He should get some very good minutes. Obviously, he's going to be playing very attacking. We don't actually know where he's going to be playing. You'd guess that it will be as one of the centre midfielders, probably the highest one. And then there'll be maybe Gravenberch and McAllister a bit deeper, and he can get forward a bit more. Maybe he'll play off the left, or maybe he'll even play centrally and drop a bit deeper, who knows. But regardless, 8.5 million seems like a very, very good price for him. And Liverpool's fixtures aren't too bad to start the season. I mean, the first few aren't great. Bournemouth at home is okay. Newcastle away, Arsenal at home isn't the best. But then Burnley away, Everton at home, Crystal Palace away. I like it from then onwards. And let's be honest, we're not just making a team for 1 or 2 weeks here. We are making a team for a bit further forward. And realistically, there isn't too many risks in this team. Like, we're picking centre-backs. We're picking 5 nailed defenders, really. We're picking quite a few other nailed midfielders here. So Wirtz may be a little bit risky, but I do really like him. Then we've got Cole Palmer. Now, I, again, thought Palmer might be a little bit more expensive. I kind of thought he'd be 11 million. 10.5 isn't bad pricing. I just think that Chelsea will do really well this season. I think they've bought very well. I like João Pedro as a purchase. I like Delap as a purchase. I kind of like Gittins as a purchase. Regardless, I think Palmer will just do well. He's on penalties. We have seen that for the bonus point system, penalties will be a bit less kind of overpowered as such. I don't think that will affect Palmer's kind of ability to do well in FPL. He is the main man at Chelsea. He is on penalties. He'll get minutes, and their fixtures are good. To start the season, it's Crystal Palace at home, West Ham away, Fulham at home, Brentford away, Man United away, Brighton at home. That is a very, very nice set of fixtures. And because we've got all these chips and transfers now, I mean, I'll do a video on chip strategy, but I think we can be more aggressive to start the season. I think we only need to look at like a 6, 7, 8 game week period, because we can use our first wildcard pretty early, because then we've got those AFCON transfers in game week 15, 16. I'll go over that in another video. But I do think we can be aggressive, and Chelsea's fixtures are really good for that. Then we've got Bruno Fernandes, which will probably quite a, I don't know, not a popular one, I'll say. 9 million was maybe a little bit more expensive than I thought he'd be. I did kind of think he'd probably be the same as Wirtz, around 8.5. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes is probably on penalties. I mean, Man United have signed Cunha, who's typically a penalty taker, and likely Mbeumo as well, who again has been a penalty taker, but I'd be surprised to see Bruno not on them. The reason I like Bruno Fernandes though is because of these defensive contributions and extra bonus points. He does get a lot of interceptions. He's on the pitch for 90 minutes almost every game, which is kind of a big thing for these defensive contributions. Obviously, United aren't one of the better teams anymore, so they're not just going to control possession, meaning that you would think he'd get more interceptions, more blocks than a Palmer or a Wirtz, say. So I do really like him. He's not someone that's definitely going to be nailed in my team by any means, but I do like the idea of starting with him. And then Kudus. Now, I'm a West Ham fan. The whole thing with Kudus going to Tottenham, I'm not a fan of one bit, but he's a very, very good footballer. And I just like Spurs' fixtures to start. Burnley at home, game week 1, fantastic. City away in game week 2, not great, but then it's beautiful from then onwards. Bournemouth at home, West Ham away, Brighton away, Wolves at home, Leeds away. That is a lovely set of fixtures to start. I haven't gone with a Tottenham defender. That could be something that I will look into, maybe a doggy, because he's priced quite nicely. But I do think Kudus at 6.5 million is pretty cheap. So he's definitely one to look out for. That's the midfielders, and then obviously I've got Devaney as just a cheap mid on the bench. There may be a 4.5 midfielder that comes to light that seems better, but he'll just be a placeholder in this draft anyway. Right, and on to the forwards now. So I mentioned how I like Spurs fixtures. That's why I've got Solanke. I think he's priced very, very nicely at 7.5 million. I thought he'd be 8 or 8.5 maybe. I do think that we might see a bit less minutes from Son this season, which would potentially mean that Solanke is on some penalties as well. The fixtures are the main draw for Solanke and his price, to be honest. Then we've got Isak at 10.5 million now. He is a little bit expensive at that, I think. I did think he'd be 10 million. But regardless, we know what he can do. We know that Newcastle will pretty much feed him. They've bought Elanga now, who is one of the kind of top assisters over the last 2 seasons, which will also help Isak. And their fixtures aren't too bad. The first 2, Villa away and Liverpool at home, not great. But then it's Leeds away, Wolves at home, Bournemouth away. That's a nice run of 3 fixtures. So I do think that Isak can be good. And then I've got Fulkrug on the bench. I did mention that West Ham are a team I'll be looking at because they've got Sunderland in their first game And obviously I've got these two guys on the bench here, but I do think that bench boosting in game week 1 is a viable strategy. I'll get onto that in another video. But also, I like how cheap he is. I do think that, unless of course West Ham sign another striker, I think we'll see Fulkrug and Bowen up top together to start the season. Firstly, if Fulkrug doesn't get injured, which is maybe quite likely, but also if another striker isn't bought. I do think West Ham will just generally be better this season. So this is the team. What I will do as one of my next videos is look at a team that encompasses Palmer and Salah, I think, and see what you can do with that. That probably involves downgrading Wirtz, maybe Fernandez and a couple of these premium defenders. But like I say, I am a big fan of the premium centre-backs and how they're priced. So this is my first draft. If you've got any questions on anything, do drop them in the comments. If you haven't already, do check out Fantasy Football Hub. The link is in the description. Like I say, there's an offer on for pre-season where if you sign up and don't win your mini league, then you get your money back. It's risk-free, so definitely check it out. For now, that's all for this one. I'll see you in the next one.